What's going on, guys? So unfortunately you're kind of looking up at me, but today what we're going to be doing is we have a, let's see, this is a 2003 Subaru Wrx. And what we're going to do today is it's got a boost leak somewhere. So in order to find said boost leak, there are a couple of easy ways to do it and there are a couple of hard ways to do it. A lot of times you enter compressed air into the intercooler system through somewhere and you block off at the throttle body, you block off at the beginning of the intake of the turbo, and you pressurize that with air. Now in the Subarus it's a little bit difficult because the intercooler is top mounted, and I'll show you guys all this stuff. Intercooler is mounted on top of the engine, so the turbo feeds out underneath the intercooler into the back side of the intercooler, and then the front side of the intercooler, or the bottom, feeds directly into the throttle body. So removing all that stuff to actually seal it off and cap it off to do a pressurized boost leak test is really a pain in the butt. So what we normally do with these things is we will utilize a couple of tools that we have. One of them is this that I can't pick up, smoke machine, that will generate smoke at 2 or 3 psi, and it'll fill the entire system, and any of the leaks will hopefully show in the form of smoke that's coming out of the system. Now what we're going to be doing with this one is we're also going to be using this cool tool. Now this cool tool has this little bulb and this guy here, and when you squeeze the bulb, this expands. So we'll show you what we're going to do with that. We're actually going to put that into the intake side of the turbo. We're going to then not seal anything off, so we're basically going to fill the entire system with smoke. So it'll go from the intake tube, which runs under the intake manifold, into the inlet of the turbo, the outlet of the turbo into the intercooler into the throttle body into the intake manifold itself, and hopefully we'll be able to pressurize this thing and see if we can get a little bit of smoke coming out of somewhere and maybe find this boost leak. So let me get you guys set up. I'll show you what we're going to do and how we're going to set this up. Okay, so here's what we got going on. Like I said, it's an 03 Wrx, and this is actually an intercooler, I believe, from an 09 STI or an 09 something or other, but it's not meant for this car. It's quite a bit larger than the factory intercooler. The factory intercooler is literally only the size of that versus that. So it's a much bigger intercooler and should theoretically work better. So what we're going to be doing is we have the intake side of the turbo. This runs underneath the intake manifold into the inlet of the turbo, which is sitting right back there. You can kind of see the outlet of the turbo right there. And that goes into an elbow and then feeds into the back side of the intercooler. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy, we're going to pop it in there, and then we'll squeeze the bulb. So you can see there, we've now effectively sealed that off. So now we're going to go over to our smoke machine, get this thing set up, and get it plugged in. I'm trying to do this all one-handed. It's going to be kind of difficult, but we'll get it. So we literally just have to make 2 connections, battery here, and battery here. And what's nice about this machine is it's actually got its own built-in compressor. And we're going to take our smoke. When we turn this on, you'll see after a couple of seconds here, there we go. We got our smoke stream. So now we're going to take that, we're going to grab the hose from this guy, which is in the intake, plug that in there, and now we wait. And we wait until we start seeing smoke somewhere. So I'm going to let this guy run. It's running pretty much wide open smoke at this point. We will let it run until we see if there's smoke coming out of anywhere, and already there is smoke. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. So we have smoke. Now what we're going to do is grab a flashlight, try to figure out where that's coming from. Alright guys, so this is a pretty obvious one. See if I can get some light in there and show you. Hopefully you can see it. I can't tell if you can see it on the screen or not, but there is, right there, there's a black fitting. And the smoke is just pouring out of that because there's a hose missing. So with that hose missing, There's also a hose missing to the intake manifold. So the hose that goes from there to the intake manifold is completely missing. So there's your boost leak. And it's not necessarily a boost leak, more so that it is an intake leak and unmetered air getting into the system, which screws with the mass airflow sensor. Therefore, why the tuner was having such a hard time tuning this thing. So we're going to shut the smoke off now that we know where that's at, and we are going to put a hose there. So yeah, pretty easy one. Alright, so here's what we found. So this guy right here, this hose, goes to the PCV, which is on the throttle body right back here. So that hose right there was completely missing. So what was happening is basically all of the air that was coming into this port was unmetered. So the mass airflow sensor was not sensing that air. Plus any air that was getting in, any kind of a vacuum leak through the PCV, was also unmetered air. So you had two sources of unmetered air, one at the beginning of the turbo and one at the intake manifold. That can cause all sorts of crazy issues, which would explain the difficulty in tuning it. So we put a piece of hose on there, put a couple clamps on it, sealed everything up. So hopefully it should be good now. I re-smoke tested it. We got no more leaks. We're going to throw the intercooler back on it and see how it runs. Hopefully everything is good to go. Okie dokie. Well, intercooler's back on. Re-smoke tested, put the intake pipe back on. No more leaks. But you can kind of see how poorly that intercooler fits. It should be level, and it's totally not, but whatever. It works, apparently. So we got everything good, and we're going to be good to go. Alright guys, so just a quick little explanation at the end of this video of why things like this are so important. I know a lot of you who watch my videos know why this is important, and a lot of you may not, but a mass airflow sensor is usually right at the airbox. It's quite a ways away from the main intake or the main turbo inlet or the throttle body or what have you. What the mass airflow sensor is responsible for is measuring the volume of air that is passing through that intake at any given point in time. And that is important because it utilizes that information to properly adjust fueling and timing and everything else. So if you have air, like let's just say that, you know, your intake tube is here and your mass airflow sensor is right here, and you have a long intake tube coming off of it, and then that goes into the throttle body. If anywhere between here and the throttle body you have an air leak, the air that's passing through the actual mass airflow sensor is being added to. There's excess air coming in past the mass airflow. So the mass airflow may see, let's just say 50 pounds per hour, and the tube is leaking 20 pounds per hour, so there's actually 70 pounds per hour, or grams per minute, or however you want to measure it. Most companies do it differently, but that's how much air is reaching the throttle body. So this sees 50, throttle body sees 70, the car doesn't know what to do. It'll run lean, it'll run rich, the timing will be off, it can misfire, it can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So it is super important that the tract between your mass airflow sensor and your turbo inlet, or your mass airflow sensor and your throttle body, is completely free of leaks whatsoever. Now in the case of this car, the PCV system, or the positive crankcase ventilation system, runs back into that intake manifold through the PCV valve, as well as draws fresh air from that already metered air. So all of that is compensated for in the fueling tables and everything else. On this particular car, where it was missing the hose between the PCV valve and the crankcase ventilation, you were getting unmetered air flowing into the intake tract between the mass airflow and the throttle body, and you were also getting unmetered air coming in through the PCV valve. Because normally the PCV system draws from the intake manifold, draws through the crankcase, and then draws fresh air from the metered air in that intake tube. I know that's a lot. Huge explanation, y'all are probably confused as shit, but look it up. I'm sure somebody out there explained it way better than I did. But that's why that whole thing is important. And now this car should run probably like crap, because it was semi-tuned around the leak, and now it's going to need to be retuned. So that's pretty much it for that and why that stuff's important. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Just kind of a quick little one. Give you guys an idea of how we check boost leaks, intake leaks, all that kind of stuff. So, alright guys, I will see you on the next one. I got another car to do, so today's going to be a crazy day. Thanks guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell so you get notified. And remember, 90% of the stuff that we use in these videos is all down below in the Amazon affiliate links. You click those, you get a great price from Amazon, plus I get a little bit off of it, not going to lie to you. I make a little commission on everything you guys click when you buy, you know, whatever. But you want to help the channel out, that's the way to do it. So, all right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.